Great. Hello there. My name is Ian Bignell, and welcome to San Francisco Short Film Festival. I'm from Festival Formula, and today we will be speaking to some of the filmmakers in A Small World Part 1. And we're all here, so a full house, one and all. I would like everybody, if it's possible, just to introduce yourself, name and film, and get to meet each one of you and know who you are. Start with you, Diane, in the top.
Is that me?
Sorry, Deanne.
Oh,
do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry.
Oh, Don Raj.
Yeah. Great to see you. My name is Dhanraj, and I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal. At present, it is 10 p.m. right now. So it's my privilege to see all of you. And the film that we are talking about, our film is the Karuna. Karuna means the compassion, and it is a Nepali word. And it is all about the work that we do. It is basically on anti-human trafficking project that we do here in Nepal. So this is the film all about the anti-human trafficking project, on what we actually do and what are the strategies that we do to help the children and the women to stop from taking them away.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And Judith, just a brief introduction about you and just who you are and what role you have on the film.
My name's Judith Cowley, and I'm from New Zealand, right down in the Pacific. And we are COVID-free at the moment, so we're very lucky. I made this film, well, we made the film 2 years ago, and I'm the writer and the director. I wrote it 5 years ago, and it took a while to get it made. So we did it from crowdfunding. But the idea came from when, many years ago, we lost a child. Our child died, and I was amazed by the kindness of strangers that came forward we lived in a new town, and all these people came and helped us. And that always stuck in my mind. And I thought that sort of started the idea for the film.
Cool. And a little brief introduction, Roberto, about your film and who you both are.
Okay, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Enrico. I'm Roberto's son, and I'll be mostly speaking today during, his English is not that great.
None is mine.
So, we made this movie throughout the actually last 3 years, and it's the movie it's Capolino della Stop, and we work with mentally challenged and disabled people, which was an amazing experience for us, and we're keep working with them even today. We have a theater school and everything, so we keep working with them. So the movie we made is about the main story. It's about not losing time and get your chances and your things up right away and start doing them, and also about social integration of mentally challenged and disabled people in our society. And yeah, so it's cosa vuoi dire?
Se vuoi del film o anche
del film, anche della storia.
Sì, che è nata per un lavoro, e questa storia è nata per un lavoro fatto con la disabilità, e quindi c'è stato è nata da una storia vera di un ragazzo che all'interno di un laboratorio teatrale ha
Yeah, the story.
Una crisi.
The story all started from a situation that we got inside one of our theater workshop with them, and because one of the boys, he had a sort of a crisis during the workshop, and so he expressed himself. So you can see it at the end of the movie. He expressed himself. Yeah, it's a love story because he had troubles with a girl, and so he expressed himself writing in this board, and so we got this story and we started to work on it, and so we got out the movie. And it's been
nice. And Sophia, just a quick introduction to you.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Sophia. I'm the filmmaker behind Haiku from Dead Poet, which I made in London last year when I was studying in London. And it's about a Brazilian immigrant trying to come to terms that he's never gonna see the person he loves anymore. Like again, because he moved countries and he never had the opportunity to confess his feelings. So he needs to just sort of, he doesn't need anything, he's just sort of like, he's just pain. The film is just suffering, the entire film. That's the film. That's basically the film.
Oh, nice and simple. And Eric, finally, and you have the mic now to introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm the director of Karuna, and Don Raj, who spoke first, he was the subject of my film, him and his family. They, as he said, they are dealing with and trying to overcome human trafficking in Nepal, which it's really bad. But one thing that's kind of unique about their story is that they're really doing something about it, and they're using their creativity and what little resources they have to alleviate that. There's a lot of suffering out in the world, and people kind of put a period on that. Like, they're suffering, it's terrible, but they are doing something about it, and I was excited to kind of to tell their story.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to start with a very simple icebreaker question for all of you, and then I'm going to go around all of you and ask some more questions. So just to ease everyone into it, do you have a word that you don't like? Mine's beige. I think it's an awful word, awful color, horrible to say, horrible to spell. That's just me. Do you have a word that you don't like? Fire away. Anyone can chip in.
I can't think of one I don't like, but I can think one of my favorite words is tutelage. It's fun.
There's slightly different spin on it.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I don't really like, I think the word is blurb, like a book blurb.
Yeah.
That is, just say synopsis. Just say like, why are you doing this? Blurb.
It's like a tacky way of trying to say like synopsis. Is really rubbish. Judith, do you have a word that you hate?
I do, and it's the word bitch, actually.
Ah.
I find it really offensive, and I can't work out why, but I think it's how it's used against women. I just find it really a hard word. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're a female dog, of course, then it's okay.
Unless you're a female dog, yeah.
And Janraj, do you have a word that you don't like?
Yeah, as we have committed our life to help the women and children, so we are dealing with the trafficking and abuses and the rapes and drugs and all kind of things. So we do not like these words, even trafficking or rape or abuses.
Yeah, here's the
we want to eliminate. We really want to eliminate these words and these problems.
And let's hopefully try and eradicate these words so they're not used in our vocabulary. And Roberto, on your side?
Well, mostly we don't like the word disabled, probably, and also diversity. Mm-hmm. Something that we are trying to like, because we work with mentally challenged people, and so we don't like to etichettare in Italian, which means we don't like to like differentiate people between each other, you know, like everyone's the same, everyone has feelings and everyone has dreams, so we just don't like to use difference as a word most of the time.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like a word of equality. I mean, when you're kind of mentioning something, it draws attention to it, and actually it's just about treating people the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's start first of all with Capellina, The Last Stop. So with you guys, I was touched watching your film because it was kind of like set up almost like a comedy in terms of two people racing against each other, but you don't quite know why. But it's really heartfelt when you actually find out why they're doing it. So where did the origins of this story come from for you to actually sort of create this mini masterpiece of yours?
It came, ha chiesto quando è l'origine della storia, spiego per le ragazze. He came from, as I was saying before, he came from this workshop that we did with these mentally challenged people when one of the youngs one, he just had a breakdown completely and he started to write on this board and all these feelings he had for this girl, and he started writing that he's not able to speak with girls, he's not able to interact with them, he feels like a baby because he doesn't know how to express himself really well due to his...
Il fatto dell'innamorarsi è una costante per tutti, cioè è una caratteristica.
And about the falling in love thing, it's that it's something that everyone has, so even them, they do fall in love with people and they do have that feeling. So we decided to develop this story around this fact. And unfortunately, most of them, they don't get the love back due to their situation.
It's almost like a story of acknowledgement, like actually that you can love anyone. And just the fact of having that acknowledgement was enough to make them get up in the morning and
exactly
get down there. But it also highlights a disability as well, because the other thing I was very aware of is, and obviously from where you shot, that it's quite hard for wheelchairs to get around. It's quite difficult when you're disabled to be going down steep.
It's very difficult,
Of your story.
Yeah, it's very difficult also, like for the person that was in the wheelchair, Christian. For him, he wasn't disabled until quando è successo?
Ormai sono 6 anni fa.
It must have been like 8-9 years ago. He had an accident. He was on a bike and a car struck him, and he's now completely. He can't move his body from head down, which for him, of course, he got over it like pretty well, but it was really hard to film with him, and also due to his wheelchair, sometimes we couldn't go in places because we couldn't move the wheelchair up there, maybe on a hill or somewhere important. So yeah, for him, sometimes it's pretty hard also move around the city because not everywhere it's wheelchair kind of approved. So he can't go somewhere, he can't go some places that maybe he wants to go. Which is...
che loro comunque fanno una preparazione attorale, cioè non sono persone qualsiasi, fanno un percorso.
Okay. And that was the main problem around the movie was that, I guess. Otherwise, they were great to work with us.
Nice. I think that the thing is what I liked about your film is that the way it was delivered is you're just really not sure what was going on until sort of like the latter part of the film.
Yeah,
and it clicks, and then it kind of like I was expecting to like laugh, like it's like some ridiculous reason why they're all being drawn to this like one point, and actually in the end you almost feel like crying because it's such a sad, poignant story, and I think you captivated it really well, but also bringing this message of equality in there. I think that's like you were mentioning a while ago, like equality is so important nowadays. So you're saying you're working with a disabled group. Are you working just as a community body, or are you looking?
No, we are cooperating with a cooperative here in Italy. It's called AIAS, which is Italian Association for Spastic Assistance, and we have been working with them since 2002, I guess. Yeah, it's been a long time, and. So we do theater workshops with them. They come, for example, Thursday and Friday. They used to come like doing 2 hours of theater, and they just where they could express themselves. They could laugh, they could cry, they could read a script, they could act, they could do anything they want, and which was a great detachment from society, from their life for them, because. Some of them, they're aware of their situation and some of them don't. So the ones that are actually aware of their situation, they are kind of, when they enter the theater, they just feel free to do whatever they want, and they feel free to not think about anything else, which
Sono legati
is
anche a un
amazing.
progetto di lavoro teatrale dove
And
lavorano nel teatro e fanno le maschere, fanno il bar.
and they're also connected as at this sort of a work environment inside the theater where they could they also make like masks, they make costumes, and they also work at the bar, for example, so they can kind of feel integrated. And and also technicians, they do like lights and stuff sometimes.
They do everything, don't they? By the sound of it. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for making such a nice, sweet, poignant film, and thank you for coming on here.
Oh, thank you.
Judith, let's go to you next. Walk a Mile. So I was, well, first of all, thank you for speaking to us in New Zealand in the, at the crack of dawn at your time. It's an honour. So Walk a Mile, I was watching it and I couldn't help but feel at the beginning, early stages of it, it kind of felt like a Gran Torino, like Clint Eastwood, kind of sets up like an old, stoic, angry man that is kind of rebelling against society and not moving on. Where did the origins for this story come from exactly, and for you to flesh it out into the story that it became in the end?
Well, I've said to you, it's also from our experience of losing a child and people how kind they were, but also I worked teaching older men how to cook when their wives were in care or had died. And these lovely old men, but they were grumpy as hell, you know. But they did love working together and cooking together. But I realized that there was a generation of men who are not allowed to feel sad. So they often show anger instead of sadness. And I love these old guys. So that's where my old guy came from in this film. And I thought, actually, underneath all of that is the sadness of something that's happened in his past, which then is, you know, his heart is broken open by something that happens next door. And it's kind of a healing moment for him. So that's where it came from, really.
Nice, because I was about to say as well, like it's like a contrast, isn't it? You've got like sadness on one side of the fence and a family that before the tragedy happens, happiness on the other side of the fence. And
oh, very happy family. And he hates the fact that they're happy. Yeah,
exactly. And freedom on one side of the fence just to play around. And then he's quite regimented almost. It's like today's lawn cutting day, today is clearing up the fire or whatever else he's doing. Yeah. I was really drawn to the contrast, but then what you do really well is bring the contrast together and actually say, you don't have to be like this. You can actually, you know, be respectful. It's almost like an awakening in the end, right? And it's sad that it has to be for a death, of course.
Yes, that's what I wanted. I wanted a possibility of change. And he would resist change, but it had to be something quite big to force him to open his heart, really. And I think he loved his life with no one interrupting it and have his routine. You're right. He just, because that's the only way he could cope. But yeah, I think there's a possibility at the end that he can be friends with that boy. And few people said to me, why don't you just write it into a feature film? But I don't need to, really.
Well, you never know. You never know. I was also really drawn to the fact that which you brought in very quickly about the shoes. And it's such an old person message. My granddad was exactly the same. He seemed to spend his whole life cleaning his shoes as if it was the most important thing. And actually, you brought up the point, which is that like shoes represents, well, it can represent anyone, but obviously in this case, a man. And in terms of like whether they're, you know, they look after themselves or not, you can tell a lot about a person's shoes. And I like this idea of representation through shoes. So was that the link to that because of his military past, or was there more to that side of that representation?
I had read a book about grief, and I was struck by a little story where a neighbor went and cleaned the shoes of a family next door because he didn't know what to say when one of their children had died. And so I always thought, gosh, people like to do practical things because they don't know what to say. And shoes are such a big thing of that generation of polishing shoes. And once I got that shoe idea, I used it a bit in the film of focusing on feet and But yeah, I love doing those shoes.
I bet it was quite classic. No, I was really impressed with what you've done because you take a delicate story and you make it very accessible very quickly. You do a lot in the time that you did with your film. What was it like to shoot as well? Was it a nice experience shooting with obviously a family as well as an older actor as well?
Yeah. The older actor is a very experienced actor. He's from Wales originally, and but every other actor in our film has never acted before.
Wow.
And I was a first time director, probably a little bit naive, like well, but actually the shooting we lost a main actor a week before and got a new one. We lost 2 locations 2 weeks before, so it was stressful before. But the 4 days of shooting, the sun shone, everyone was really happy on the shoot. It worked out really well.
Nice.
We got good performances from our amateur actors. We got good performances from them. So yeah.
No, I think you definitely did, especially for a first-time film, to be able to grab those kind of performances out of all the actors on set is a massive achievement. Well done on making a very nice film. And again, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Right, let's talk about Karuna. Trying not to say Corona. And so obviously Eric and Dhanraj who's kindly joining us all the way from Kathmandu. So Kathmandu in Nepal, and this is I'm not a greatly experienced person of that part of the world. My only view of it was going hiking, going into the Himalayas, and that was it. You're opening a window in this documentary to something that I really wasn't expecting in trafficking. So where was where did you first hear about it, Eric, to make the documentary?
So Dhanraj's brother lives in the Bay Area, which I just moved from. I'm in Atlanta now. Just a month ago. Just Karuna, everybody's been shuffled, but he came to speak at where I attended church, and he told us about what they were doing. And like you said, when you think of Nepal, you think of Mount Everest, and you think of beautiful colors and hiking, and I just felt something in my heart when I heard him speak that I wanted to tell his story. And like I was saying earlier, what we kind of uncovered is that there is poverty. You see slums in the film. You see people trying to eke out a living sometimes. But Dhanraj and his family, they have such compassion for people, and they use their creativity to kind of address things. They're not just begging or waiting on people to donate to them. They're going ahead with what they have, and they're changing a lot of lives.
Yeah. Well, Raj, when did this actually start? How long ago has this organization been going for to actually help the community out and try and protect people and give them new starts and new beginnings?
Yeah, we were very young at that time. A few years ago, me and my wife started this ministry, this small organization, in a very unique way. That we were in our hometown, not in the capital city, in Kathmandu. We moved to Kathmandu and saw a lot of terrible things going on. So my wife was working in the hospital as a nurse, and I was working as a school teacher at that time. And we were moved with all the problems, and one of the main reason is, I don't know whether you believe it or not, my wife was a heart patient, and we were a very strong Hindu, and I was just a persecutor of the Christian, just kind of. So, but when my wife was at the age of her death because of the heart problem, So I knew nothing about the Christianity, nothing about the God and the church, nothing. But where my wife was working, the hospital belonged to the Christians. So they gave they one of the doctors, he shared something about the Bible and all this, but we did not believe that. And when my wife was at the age of, to make the story short, when she was just going to die, so the doctor who gave the Bible, I placed the Bible on her chest, and I knew nothing, and somehow, like, in my language, I said that Jesus help us. It was a terrible time in the midnight, and she had a terrible heart attack. And after 10 minutes, she had a sound sleep, and her the pain was released. And after that, we went to the doctor. After a month, we used to go to the doctor for every 2 months, and he did all that kind of sort of taste and all of these things, and finally he prescribed that you are completely healed. And before, he was the same doctor to say that from the bottom of our heart that the tissues are gradually dying, and now he is telling that you are okay. So this is the story that we were converted from the Hindu to Christianity, and we gave our life to God, and we we try to serve God, and we asked God that what is our next. So we left our job. We completely uh, became new, and we started to serve in the street of the Kathmandu, helping the children. This is we opened the door in our house in Kathmandu, and we started to bring the children from the street, from the slum, and we also started to bring the ladies and girls in the street, working as the sex workers and the trafficking survivors. So this is how we started the work, and it is amazing that we never thought that this small thought would bring a greater impact in the whole community, to change the life of the different people. And so far we have saved nearly 355 women and children from being trafficked, and we have raised awareness in a lot of communities, and we have rescued and restored nearly more than 1,200 children.
Wow.
So,
Well, I think all ideas start with a small seed that can grow into a big tree. I mean, they always start with the smallest ideas. So well done on such an important incentive. And Eric, what was it like for you going into that, filming that? Because you're unprecedented access to people. What was that like, going into that environment and filming, the recovery and of these people?
So my background is I'm a full-time editor, and I work with a lot of ad agencies, and you always come away with, like, well, at the end of the day, we're selling corn chips or health, something like that, like, or Pepsi or something like that. But kind of going to a third world country, I've traveled a little bit for work, but it was, it was so different. It was just me and my wife. I shot everything, and Bethany, my wife, I taught her how to hold a boom pole, and, we were there for about 2.5 weeks, and it was, like a lot of people when they experience that, it was life-changing, but it was so beautiful. And at the same time, being in the slums of Kathmandu, it's, you don't want to be there a long time. The smell and people live with, mud floors. And I know in the back of my mind, there's a hot shower waiting for me somewhere else in the world, but for them, there's not. And it's really hard to wrestle with. I think everyone thinks that when they see poverty or injustice. I'm having a hot meal today, and someone else might not eat for a couple days, and so that's something I still kind of think about a lot. Or how do I square that? But I just try to take the gifts that I have and the resources that I have um, to amplify what happened in Don Raj's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a good job. I think, like, first and foremost, it's an issue-led documentary. Then it's important that the message gets out there, but gets out there correctly and fairly. And I think that you've done a great job in capturing that. And obviously, Don Raj with his organisation is doing amazing things that I didn't know about. So big ticks in terms of what you're doing in terms of an issue-led in the real world and issue-led in the documentary sense as well. So congratulations to you both for making a very, very good, eye-opening documentary.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Sophia Wickerhauser, what an awesome surname that is. And you got haiku from a dead poet. And I was actually quite touched by your film. Because it's very short, it's very simple, it's a very still piece, but it shows that grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I kind of just read it as like a love letter, and almost like sending an empty envelope out into the void back, and hopefully it makes its way back. And I found it really emotional to watch because, like, obviously I'm not far from London, and you're seeing one immigrant story, and where it could be amongst hundreds and thousands of others. Where was the origins for you to write this and make such a thought-provoking piece?
Well, at the time I was a student in London, so I was going to stay in London for longer, even more than a year and a half. But Corona, so life happens. But I remember the feeling of walking through the streets and like missing home dearly, but also not wanting to leave and try my best not to leave London, because it had always been a dream of mine to live abroad. And this feeling of getting exactly what you want, but still feeling so much sorrow and pain for not being able to have your friends with you, not show your mother the city, like always having something missing from your life. And meeting other immigrants in London, especially Brazilians, it felt like they felt something similar, and their response to that was to bring everyone over. So like people, they immigrated to London, and they just brought their entire families with them because they couldn't stand being away from them. And then they created these communities, like where they only spoke Portuguese, and like it was. Like some people would be in the UK for decades and wouldn't speak any English because they would only be in that community. And that really struck a chord with me, because I can't do that at all. Like there's no way, I had no means to bring anyone over. So it just felt like I was really like, is this what's going to be, what my life is going to be like? I'm just going to stay here and become like other Brazilians like me, that couldn't bring their family over. And they were sort of like losing their Portuguese. They were speaking Portuguese like it was their second language. They couldn't remember words. They couldn't, So this feeling, I really wanted to explore it somehow, but I didn't want the film to be about me. Like I didn't want it to be me narrating about this experience. So I created this character and this specific attachment that he had, like this romantic attachment that never came to fruition. So it's not like he let go of a lover, or like someone that he was gonna marry or anything like that. It was just like this missed opportunities of like having what you want but leaving this huge thing behind. And what ifs, like what if I had told him that I loved him, etc., etc. So those are the origins.
Nice. I quite like the use of windows in it, because it's almost like windows are being used in different ways, like portals, or even sort of tuning it in like a TV, looking for something that was used to be there and isn't there. And it kind of almost, the imagery of that makes it quite haunting to watch. Was that what you're trying to, were you using that sort of portal aspect there? Was that what you're trying to aim for?
Yeah, like it's really melancholic for me to look at windows. Like I'm also a photographer. There are windows in all my movies. It's just like a thing. Like people are like, please, no more windows. Why are there so many windows? There's like, no, we need more windows. Because for me, it's like looking at someone's life, like a little glimpse of someone's life. Because windows have so much stuff that is really characteristic to the person who is living there. So like you can never, unless the house is empty, like you can always see something that shows who's really living in that space. So for me, it's like really like portraits. Like instead of taking portraits of people, I take photos of their windows. So it feels like we are always seeing possibilities, and we'll never see the main character. Like we never see the character who is narrating the film. We only see like these little glimpses of these windows, you know, like of other people's lives, and we don't really know what his life is like. Mm-hmm. We can only imagine, like we imagine, like, oh, who must? I'm always wondering this, like who lives here? Who lives in a place like this? Who, you know, I wonder, and you know, like this is what I wanted to bring. I think it works in this film because it's very experimental in that way. Like I think it's yeah, I think just having stills and not showing the character, like that was my first idea, right? Like let's get an actor and film him walking around, you know, and it's like melancholic and stuff, you know. But it's like no, that's not showing that is gonna work better, and I think it does. I think there's
no shame in making the audience work. Sometimes I think it's too easy just to give them all the answers that they need. Sometimes you have to work the audience to get the best out of the audience. So that totally makes sense. And it sounds also by your previous film career as if like all paths were leading to this moment, if you're including windows and everything that you've done. It's almost like destiny. I was also, the other thing that I took out of this is it highlights as well, it's like a plea for help. It's like depression as well as another angle of this as well, which I imagine with a lot of people that are starting life in a new country, the depression that you might go through from just the fact that you're just eating food and going, this is crap. Why do you eat this food? Or why do you drink this drink? Just the smallest things, the air not smelling maybe as sweet as you remember it being. This must be quite depressing in a weird way, despite new beginnings for someone living in a new country, right?
No, it's really disheartening. I don't know if anyone here has been through that experience of being an immigrant, because it's different than you just staying like 2 months in a place, you know, like studying for 2 months or being on a vacation somewhere, because you always have that feeling that you're gonna go back. Like it's temporary, it's fine, you're gonna go back, whatever it is that's bothering you, it's not gonna bother you for long. But like when you dream of immigrating and then you do it, it's like so bittersweet and so depressing, like you said, because like this is what I wanted. I'm like, this is what I wanted, I'm here. So, you know, why do I feel so depressed? Why do I feel so alone? And then you try to meet new people and you make new friends and you still feel alone. Because it's like that life you had is gone, you know, like, and you're trying to hold on and message your friends and face call your friends, you know, like, and even make plans of them coming over to visit you. But it's like, it's sort of over in a way, like that relationship sort of over as it was. Those relationships, they are over. Like you might not see those people again. You might not see them for a decade, 2 decades. So it's really depressing. And it's just like I think for a lot of Brazilians specifically, a lot of people in third world countries, like a lot of people dream their entire lives of going away or like going someplace else. So it's really bizarre, this feeling of having that thing that we always wanted and then feeling like this, you know, like you don't expect it. You don't expect it at all. And yeah, it really for me, it really hit me like in the stomach. And I thought it would be over. Like in the first few months, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm over it. Like now I have friends. Now it's fine. But it's like it will never leave. Because I was constantly thinking like, oh, I wish my mother was here. I wish I could show her this. I wish I could do this. I wish, like I'm missing like the things, when you remember the things you're missing, like all your friends' birthdays and Christmases and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just bizarre.
I think it's just it's like a process of losing your identity. I think. I mean,
Exactly.
Me and Katie. Katie, so she works for Festival Formula. She's the founder. We've been considering for a long time to move to America, because we work with so many festivals, and a lot of the festivals are in America. But it's also another considered decision, despite the fact that they speak the same language and everything else. It's completely different to how the UK is. So there's that consideration of like, am I going to fit in, and am I going to lose my Britishness if I to coin such a phrase? It's kind of like a really weird thing. And I think that like even the people that deal with it the best are still struggling with it. And I think that's the thing that really comes across with immigration, is that once you leave, you're part of that process, and there's nothing you can really do about it unless you go back. But then if you go back and miss a good opportunity, it's like you've lost. So it's kind of like you can't really solve your problems. It's almost like you can blame yourself for having the idea of emigrating in the first place, maybe.
That's exactly what it is. I think it's called Catch-22.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a catch-22, and there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer either, which makes it even worse. So there's no solution to the problem. But anyway, thank you for making, again, a thought-provoking piece, and well done to all of you for screening and for coming along to this Q&A. We have run out of time, so unfortunately I'm going to have to wrap up. And so it has been a pleasure speaking to you all, and I wish you a great festival. Thank you to the audience for watching, and we do hope that you tune in to see what else the festival has in store. So thank you to all of you, and especially the ones that are burning the midnight oil to be with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Bye-bye.
work, guys.